Hey, Soldier 7 here, and this video is going to be talking about the news recently about Sony plans to end physical copy. I've been meaning to do a video about it. I've been thinking about doing a video about it, but I wasn't sure how I was going to do a video about it because this news pretty struck hard. So, yeah. I'm just going to say what I got to say. I don't know how long it's going to take. This could just end up being a rant, which it probably is. Or it could just end up lasting a few minutes or so. I don't know. So let's just start from here and talk about it. So yeah, when I first heard this news, I wasn't sure if it was accurate, but when the more reports come in, I was like, really? What? And then I looked more into it. Apparently an announcement was said that Sony plans to end physical copies in 2028. And yeah, given the backlash and everything, there's been so much backlash since then. Even a petition, which I hope gets signed and gets bigger, which is going to lead me to my whole opinion about this. And that opinion is, what the hell, Sony? What makes you think this was a good idea? I mean, seriously. You really think ending physical copies is a good time right now? I mean, I know they say digital copies or digitization is the future, but I don't think it's the future that fast. Or maybe it's just my lifestyle and the way I grew up. But I'll leave that for another time or just for a few minutes because I wanted to just get this off my chest. And like I said, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I got it set for 10 minutes, could be longer, could be shorter, I don't know. I'm just going to say what I got to say and get on with it. I may do another video about it, I don't know. This is something I am keeping track of, although I haven't been able to keep track of everything, like some rumors, like some reports recently about Sony telling some of their employees not to talk about it, or Sony giving the silent treatment and whatnot. Yeah, I've been looking into that. I've been seeing that. You have some people say this is a false flag, like Sony's just doing this to test the physical market, which, yeah, given the backlash they've been given, I'm hoping they reconsider. Now, you got some people saying that this idea is irreversible. Sony can't reverse it. Sony's not going to reverse it even if they want to because they're this mega corporation, this and that and whatnot. They do whatever they want. Well, if that's the way they feel, well, I don't know. Then maybe the backlash will continue to grow. And like I said, I get it. They're a big company and whatnot, and they're a private company, and they have the right to do whatever it is they want, I guess, yes. Even if it's not popular, but the problem is that this policy is pretty clear that it is really unpopular. Like, the backlash is just unstoppable. Like, I don't see how many Sony fanboys could defend this. Now you got some people who are all about digital copy, they don't care and whatnot, and they're making their opinions, and they're even telling the physical copy crowd or the physical camp to just shut up, get over it, it's the fucking future and whatnot. And yeah, they're entitled to say that if they want, but my only response to them is, why do you care? I mean, you're not going to go get up and get it, go to a store and get the game, get the disc or whatnot. You just want to stay home or just go get maybe the points or whatnot to pay for it and whatnot, to put it in your PlayStation wallet for PSN or whatnot. I don't know, PlayStation Store. So why do you care? But to many of us, we do care because we like the idea of physical copy, and we do not think it's something that should be closed out or something that should come to an end right away. even if a time like that comes, I say it's still too early for that. Like, that's not a conversation. Call me crazy, call me naive, call me whatever. I don't give a damn. All right, really? I don't give a fuck. But I don't think that's a conversation worth having, at least for another 20 years or so, 24 years, at least not till 2050. So yeah, I would say keep the physical market, keep the physical copies going, at least until then, and then at least decide, okay, is this something we should really keep going, or is this something we should just end? And not only that, physical copy offers more benefits than people think, because some people seem to forget that in some cases, I'm not saying it's everybody, but in some cases, I mean, I've had experience where, not so much with PlayStation, but with Xbox, but still, it doesn't mean it can't happen with PlayStation, where my account was erased and everything that I had digital was erased, and that was the thing. I had to start from scrap. So whatever it is I had to start from scrap, whatever I had digital, I had to buy again because I had to start a new account. Whereas the physical copies that I had, I didn't have to worry about that. Yeah, sure, I had to start all over again and whatnot, but at least I didn't have to go out and get another one because it was right there. And yeah, you got a lot of people talking about the importance of ownership and whatnot, and people saying physical copy is the really only way to own it, whereas digital copy is really not so much. You're just mainly renting it. Even if you buy it for one time, you never know. And not only that, Sony did some other stuff. If I'm not mistaken, around the time this was announced, Sony ends some of their digital services in Europe, if I'm not mistaken, and they're facing a lawsuit for that, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the whole story about that, but I do recall like some movies and whatnot being canceled in Europe. And you have to forgive me, I'm not too familiar with PlayStation in Europe or what the PlayStation Network is like in Europe or whatnot, so forgive me. I'm just familiar with the North America and Asia to a certain extent. So, but yeah, that was, and some people in Europe are talking about antitrust laws and whatnot and having a monopoly. Which, that does show concern, because if they do that right around the time they make this announcement, yeah, expect there to be some backlash, even if you're a digital copy person to begin with. Like, I'm assuming those people who aren't going to get their movies back that they paid for, they probably at least want a refund or something. I don't know if they got any of that, but I can see why, yeah, a lot of people would want to sue for that, at least. Are they going to be successful or not? I don't know. But it's like if you say you pay for something and they say it's yours, but then all of a sudden they change it and erase it, that ain't a good public service. And yeah, Sony's a private company and everything, and they have the right to make their own decisions, I agree, but that doesn't mean that they're going to make wrong decisions. And obviously I think that, yeah, these were not right decisions that they made, doing what they did in Europe and just saying that they're going to end physical copy. It's pretty foobar. So I don't know. I'm trying to sound calm and everything, and yeah, right now I am, because like I said, I thought about doing a video about this, days ago or right around the time I heard about the news, but I was just too angry. But every time the news popped up, I was just too angry and too stressed out to where it was like, I don't know what I'm going to say, and I'm kind of disappointed that Sony would do this or even think about doing it. So I don't know. Hopefully the resistance will grow, and hopefully the physical camp will get something out of this. Because if you're the digital camp, look, criticize all you want, telling people to get over it, but at the end of the day, like I said, why do you care? This doesn't affect you. You don't want to go get your disc. You don't want to go get a disc and have it on a shelf and whatnot, and don't have to worry about, oh, if your account gets foobarred or hacked or whatever and shit gets erased. And don't tell me that doesn't happen, because it does. It doesn't happen with PlayStation. It happens with Xbox, Nintendo. I'm not saying it happens to everybody. Probably may not even happen to most buddy. I don't have the numbers. I'm just saying stuff like that does happen. And having a physical copy means you don't have to go back and buy all that stuff all over again. Even if you have to start your games and unlock your data and everything before, okay. It's not the worst idea, but at least you won't have to go back and pay for everything. Maybe it's not like that in some situations with digital, but don't tell me that in some cases it is, because it is. I know, this is over 10 minutes, and like I said, I'm just going to keep saying what I gotta say. I don't know, I'm just kind of disappointed in Sony, because historically, out of all the 3 gaming consoles, at least as of today, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, historically I always favored Sony. No, granted, I'm not a Sony fanboy, I'm not a PlayStation fanboy, but yes, historically I've always favored the PlayStation over the Xbox, and I've always favored Sony over Nintendo and Microsoft when it comes to a certain thing. Not on every occasion, not on every gen. Like, for example, I thought the GameCube was better than the PS2 and the Xbox, the original. But every gen after that, I always favored the PlayStation. It's not that I didn't like the Xbox or the Nintendo consoles, although I haven't bought a Nintendo console since the Wii. Well, technically I didn't buy it. It was a gift. I got it for Christmas one year, but I don't need to go into that. I'm sure you get the point, to those that are still listening. So, yeah, I'm kind of disappointed they would do this, because like I said, even though I'm not a Sony fanboy, but I usually favor Sony when it comes to this sort of thing, when it comes to gaming, and when it comes to some of their electronic devices. Yeah, I like some of them too. I've speak highly about them, at least the ones that I like, but I don't think I'm gonna like everything that they make. But yeah, this was not a good idea, and I hope the backlash is not going to be in vain. I hope in some ways this is reversible. I know some people are going to say, Soul Drift, you're kidding. It's crazy for you to think that. They're this big power company and so forth. They're not going to do that, and even if they wanted to, they're at a point of no return to where it's too late for that. Well, I don't know. I mean, hopefully over time it is something they will reconsider, given all this backlash, because you can't tell me that this backlash is pretty bad. And Sony has gotten some backlash for some things before, but I don't think this makes the 2011 blackout when you couldn't go on PSN for a couple months in 2011. That was nothing compared to this. Like, I think the backlash they got for that, from what I remember, I'm not talking about people that are making videos about it now. I'm just talking about at that time. The backlash they got was nothing compared to this. I don't think anything they have done, any bad thing they have done, has gotten so much backlash than this. But that's just me. That's just how I remember it. But yeah, I hope that this is not all in vain. I hope the backlash and the petitions and the crowd continues to grow. And I hope it shows Sony that the physical market is a lot stronger than they thought. Even if the digital is selling more, still, if a certain market, like the physical copies, if they have strong enough fan base and people that are willing to pay enough money, probably even pay more than digital, then maybe that's something they should think about, to say, well, maybe this is something we shouldn't have messed with, because even if we're just going for the buck or whatever, but maybe in the long run, getting rid of physical copies could hurt us financially in the long run. And who knows, maybe our stocks will plummet and never fully recover. Who knows? So yeah, I get it. Sony's a big company and so forth, but that doesn't mean that as consumers and as customers, even loyal customers, if you want to say that, but being loyal without bending the knee every time they do something unpopular, or just going with the flow, no. I'm not saying like that, but as people who, yes, liked Sony and preferred PlayStation over the other consoles over the years, even exclusively. I think historically PlayStation has had better exclusives than Microsoft and Nintendo. Exclusives, which I wish they would have done more with. But yeah, there's also that. So I don't know what's going to become of this. I know some people may think, yeah, it's crazy to think it's going to be reversed, but who knows? Because for PlayStation 5, they made one for physical copy, but they also just made a PlayStation for flat out digital, like no disc, no place to put in a disc. Who knows? I mean, some of this say this may have to do with the PlayStation 6. Well, who knows? Maybe the PlayStation 6 could maybe start out as digital, and if the backlash is strong enough, maybe they'll decide, maybe they can realize, well, maybe we could make more money if we make a physical edition. It just won't be overnight. We may have to wait, so hopefully the physical camp can just wait and just stay with us. You know, who knows? I know some people may think that that's crazy, but who knows? Is it still possible? I mean, is it crazy to think? Maybe, but does that mean is it impossible? No, I don't think so. If the backlash is strong enough, I say it's still possible. And I hope it is, because we lost physical copies in one way, like video stores pretty much are almost non-existent. I'm sure plenty of them are still out there, but it seems like ever since Blockbuster and Hollywood Video went out of business, video stores have become much more rare. I mean, I'm sure they still exist out there, but they're much more rare and more hard to find, more difficult to look for. But yeah, I hope that this is a physical copy. So we lost physical copy in that manner, but I hope we don't lose it on this one. And I hope Sony, I don't know, I hope Sony wake up and smells the coffee and realize this was a mistake. Even if it's not reversible for the time being, I hope it is, but even if, let's say, they can't reverse it, even if they want to, hopefully enough backlash can at least make some sort of difference where they can, like, let's say, maybe delay the ending of physical copies for a while. Like, instead of ending it in 2028, like the announcement said it would, maybe wait at least until 2031, maybe given the backlash and so forth, see what the physical copy does. If the physical copy can make enough sales by then for them to change their mind, or maybe compromise or do something that will maintain physical or keep the physical market happy, because even if it doesn't sell as much as the digital, it's still a strong market, and the backlash is showing that. And there's other reasons why people want physical copies, because of ownership and stuff like that, and they feel like they truly own it, and I have to agree. Now, granted, do I do digital copy every now and then? Yeah, sure, maybe every now and then, but most of the digital stuff I get is like what? DLC. Now, like, yeah, I would say right now at this time on PlayStation, PS5, I only really have one game that's digital, okay? Everything else I have on that is physical. And I would say historically, even when I do get digital copies on PlayStation, you know, Xbox that's a whole different story, which I'll probably get into another video if I decide to make more videos about this, talking about this. But what I will say is, sorry, I got lost, my brain's a little cloudy, you may have to give me a minute. I think I said something about I'm sorry, and this is another reason why I wasn't sure if I was going to do a video about this, because my brain was just going to get all cloudy and foggy, but no, I'm going to say what I got to say. Even if the digital market sells more, that doesn't mean the physical copy is still strong enough to where Sony could realize we could still be profitable, even more profitable, if we maintain the physical market, or or work to have the physical camp stay with us. Whereas, this backlash, even if it doesn't hurt us now, it could hurt us in the long run. Because, yeah, you may have some people who say, well, some people in the physical camp, they'll cave in and eventually. I hope not. And if I do, it will probably not be for a long time. Because keep in mind, as soon as I got a PlayStation 5, I didn't play it right away. I was still on PlayStation 4. And I was one of those guys growing up, for the most part, who usually had to wait a year, sometimes 2 years, sometimes 3 years to get a console or whatnot. Even 4 years. Like, I didn't even get the original Xbox until 2005, when the 360 already came out. So yeah, I'm a little more patient. I just hope the rest of the physical copy people will feel the same way. I hope enough will feel the same way to where they're just like, no, I'm not going to do it. Even if I do it, there are certain demands I would like to be done, even if I do agree to just get a PlayStation 6 or just get digital copies or whatnot from here on. There was a reasonable argument where, like I said, historically I said Sony has had the better exclusives, but it feels like over time there was not much they did with them. Exclusives like Siphon Filter, SOCOM, Uncharted, Resistance, Killzone, some of those franchises, which I think they could have done more with, and I think they could have done more with singles like Mag. Like, even if they weren't going to give us a sequel to Mag, they could have brought it to the PlayStation 4 and then eventually bring it to the PlayStation 5. Well, if they agree to do that for the PlayStation 6, does that mean I'm just going to get one? No, but I'll tell you what, if they do more with those franchises on the PlayStation 6, I would at least think about it. Some people are saying the best way to give Sony the finger right now, give Sony the bird, is just to not buy the PlayStation 6 when it comes out. And who knows, I may not. And if they do, it's probably not going to be for a long time. I'm probably just going to wait it out until I get some sort of reason to buy it. And keep in mind, one of the reasons why I haven't got a Nintendo console since the Wii, I didn't get the Wii U, Nintendo Switch, and all that stuff. There's a reason why. Because there's only like 2 or 3 games worth getting. And I'm like, even after all this time, and to me, that's not good enough. So, yeah, you're going to have to do more than that, Sony. If I were to ever get a digital copy only PlayStation 6. But who knows, like I said, is there a possibility this is reversible? As crazy as some people may think it is, I still hope it is. I still think, yeah, it could be, if the backlash is strong enough, but it's got to be strong enough to where it's got to get into their heads and realize, oh darn, we made a big mistake. We didn't realize that even though the physical copies don't sell as much as the digital copies, we forgot just how strong the physical camp can really be, how strong the physical market can really be. This is something we should not abandon. Even if we're at the point of no return, this is something we definitely got to come back to eventually. And I hope they do. And I would at least hope at the time being this backlash would at least persuade them to say, okay, maybe we could delay the physical copy ending a few more years later. Maybe instead of 2028, we can move it 3 years later to 2031, or another 3 years to 2034, or to 2037, or 2038, 10 years after we made that ridiculous announcement. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's watching this by now, and if not, I understand. I won't fault you for doing so. But like a lot of people, I just felt like I had to make a video about this. I'm not thrilled about it. I don't see how I'm going to be, but yeah. But yeah, like a lot of people, I'm not happy about it, and I just wanted to do a video giving my 2 cents about it and what I think about it. And as you can tell, yeah, I'm not very thrilled. And I'm just hoping that the backlash continues to grow to where Sony has to agree to compromise to something, at least. Even if it's irreversible at this point, at least make it to where they can delay it for a couple more years. Instead of 2028, move it to a few more years later or so forth. Maybe that would give them time to realize just how strong the physical market can be and how profitable they can still be if they continue to make physical copy. Because the physical camp is very strong. Because there's a lot of guys out there who don't mind getting stuff digital, but probably don't want to go past 20%. Like, I would say, digitally, I would say, if you put aside, like, DLC for games that come out later on and so forth, but like actual games that I get digitally, I would say in the case of PlayStation, I would keep that to a 20%, whereas 80% would all be physical. And I'm willing to pay that little extra just for that. But yeah, I know this is going on for too long. This is sort of becoming a rant. And like I said, I mean, there's cartoons that probably don't last as long. They're done within 20 minutes or so forth, and that's it. But yeah, there's probably more I want to say, but I don't know. If there's more I have to say, maybe I'll make another video about it, maybe I won't. But either way, I feel like I had to at least make one video about this, given this news when I first came across it, and yeah, I wasn't thrilled. But anyway, yeah, that's it for the time being. This video has gone on for too long. For those of you who aren't watching it anymore, I won't fault you for doing so. To those of you who still who have been patient, thanks. I appreciate it. I hope you show your support and keeping physical copies going and so forth. So yeah. But if anybody has any takes on this, by all means, please do tell. The comments are opened, and yeah, yep, that's all I'm gonna say for right now. This is Soldrift 7. Take care.